Welcome. This is the 718 podcast. I am William H. Straff. I need a name for this podcast. So if you have one that you think will fit, email me, William H. Straff, STRAFE at gmail.com. Hit me on Twitter. It's at William H. Straff. And you can hit my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ William H. Straff. Today was taped this on Tuesday. We got on the line as always. Midtown Mo, say what up.
It is I, me, Midtown Mo, in reference to my favorite movie, Bad Boys 2. One of my favorite movies, Bad Boys 2, on now HBO.
Did you practice that?
I did, and I finally get Bad Boys 2 on DVR. I'm very excited about that. It adds to Rocky 4, and now I have two of the top three favorite movies on DVR.
And what's the other favorite movie?
I got to go with Heat, starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, though they could have cut 30 minutes with the whole daughter cutting her wrist storyline would suck. Anyway.
All right. So today's podcast, I'm actually going to start with a small story, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. I've been playing fantasy football for this is my 9th season. I started in 2003.
This is my 10th.
This is my story. Come on now. Well, you'll get some input, but so this is my ninth season. I have one league I've been in with the same core group of guys since 2003. I won the chip once. I've made the final game twice, and I think I've only missed the playoffs twice in 8 years. So I'm pretty good at it. I think so. And I have 3 rules that I steadfastly hold to my heart, and I will always follow. Rule number 1. If you want someone to draft, take them, no matter where it is. Don't fall in that value trap. If you like someone, take them. If you like someone and he's going in the 6th round of the draft, he's there in the 5th or the 4th, take him. Because if you don't, and someone else takes him, and he ends up kicking your ass, you're going to be pissed. Rule number 2, start your studs. Don't get cute. Don't say, well, I like this matchup here. Like, if he's a stud, if it's a Randy Moss or a Aaron Rodgers or a Adrian Peterson, I don't care if they dug up the 85 Bears. I'm starting Adrian Peterson. And number 3, I will never, ever start any running back employed by a team that has Mike Shanahan as its head coach. And
Mike Shanahan hates fantasy football.
And I say that because in my main fantasy league, one of my friends, who shall remain nameless for now, had to decide between starting Ryan Terrain or Tim Hightower. And at 12...
I would have started Terrain.
Okay, now here's the thing. At 12:45, the Washington Redskins website said that Tim Hightower would be the starting quarterback. And that's not like Fanball or Roto World or Matthew Berry or even like Schefter. This is the Washington Redskins website. Said Tim Hightower will be the starter. How many carries did Tim Hightower get on Sunday, Morris?
0. I had been reading all week that had Tim Hightower, because I have Ryan Terrain in my other league, my Alpha League, and I didn't start him, but I had been reading all week that Tim Hightower would be the starter. However, Ryan Terrain would get the carries, and moving forward, Ryan Terrain would likely get the first 2 downs. Tim Hightower would come in as a 3rd down back, and Roy Hulu would be a change of pace. So, if I had to choose between them, well, first, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. But if I had to choose between them, it would have definitely been Terrain. But, that's in hindsight, I guess. You start Terrain, and then Hightower goes off for 150. What did they play again? They played
the Eagles.
The Eagles?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you go back to last year's game where Michael Vick dropped single-handedly 50 points, you could assume that there wasn't going to be a lot of running for the Redskins. But you know, Mike Shanahan hates fantasy football. You can never be surprised by what he does. And unfortunately, in this situation, the person lost by 1 point.
Yes, so the person who had both terrain and Hightower. Now, granted, terrain didn't exactly kill. He put up. He had like
at least 1
20
point.
yards. He had like 20 yards rushing. However, the person he and this guy ended up losing by 1.4. So even if he had started terrible
Here's
as,
the thing about go ahead.
huh?
Here's the thing about fantasy football. Knock on wood. I would rather get blown out to the point that no matter who I would have started, I would have lost.
Agreed.
And the one loss, I'm currently 6-0 in one league and 5-1 in the other. And the one loss I had to Mr. Jones, it didn't matter who I started because he had the better team that particular week, and I'm okay with that. But if it's a situation where, like this week, I was deciding between Jacoby Jones and Lance Moore, and Jacoby Jones had 11 targets last week, caught one pass. I thought the targets was a good indicator that he could potentially score, but I didn't really terribly like the matchup against the Ravens. So I started Lance Moore. Lo and behold, Jacoby Jones gets like 6 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown, and outscores in my league Lance Moore by, I think, 6 points or so. So had I lost by, I don't know, 3-4 points, I'd have been very upset because of that situation. And I go back a couple of years. I'll never forget. I sat. Who was starting opposite Santana Moss for the Redskins about 3 to 4 years ago? What was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name.
I remember it was you had the Jacksonville defense. And
he was playing for the Redskins. It was a blizzard.
Wait a minute. I think we're talking about. I remember a game where you had the Jacksonville defense, and you had Santana Moss. So you sat Santana Moss because they're playing the Jacksonville defense, and then Santana Moss kicks their ass, ends up winning like the game-winning touchdown in overtime. You were throwing shit.
There was that game, but there was another game. Whoever started opposite. Whoever was the second wide receiver on the Redskins, I can't remember offhand.
Exactly.
He's not in the league anymore.
Of course, because they stink.
They played in a blizzard, and I saw the temperature and forecast of the weather, and I sat. I wish I could remember his name. I'll have to look it up later. But essentially, he ends up doing just enough that I would have won, and I sat. And I didn't start my starters, which goes back to your rule number 2. When you start getting fancy, you start playing the matchups a little bit, it catches up to you.
So, tell that story because the guy that this happened to also is a Cowboy fan. So I actually want to call him and berate him for the next 10 minutes, and I'm sure you'll join me in doing it. So he has no idea he has an idea we're calling, but he has no idea we're calling about. So we're gonna try him at home. His wife might pick up. If it does, then that might even increase the fun. Hold on. Come on, answer.
Yo.
Bandit and Biff hotline.
Yeah, it was good.
Your team is terrible, and I'm very happy.
What team is terrible?
The Dallas Cowboys.
They're not terrible.
What question?
Yes.
If the Cowboys lose on Sunday to the Rams, is Jason Garrett and job security in question?
Let me go on the other one. Is this being recorded?
You're on the podcast.
I actually have dissected the Cowboys game. So I have a lot of Cowboys players on my fantasy football teams, respectively. And of course, my significant other is a huge Cowboys fan, so I have to hear her mouth every day about it. Anyway, I think about a week and a half ago, and I'm pretty sure it was Skip Bayless. Pretty certain of it. I meant to look it up earlier today. After the Cowboys lost to Detroit, something of that nature, I think it was Skip Bayless that got on 1st and 10 and said, hey, the Cowboys need to mix up their play call. They need to maybe run a couple of shovel passes. I distinctly remember him saying shovel pass. And I thought that was interesting, yet stupid, because I didn't feel the Cowboys had the personnel to do something like that. And lo and behold, I'm watching the DVR game, and the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Garrett has Miles Austin. He has Dez Bryant. He has Tony Romo at quarterback. He has Jason Witten. He has a solid third slot receiver in Lorraine Robinson. What is he doing? Lauren. He throws a shovel. I didn't even understand the play when I first saw it. I had to rewind it to see what the hell happened. Running a shovel pass to your third string running back. I just don't understand what the hell Jason Garrett's doing.
I'll put it like this. The Cowboys are and I'll make a bold statement. The Cowboys are the third best team in the NFC right now. Watching them. Behind Green Bay 1. And I'm going to say behind New Orleans 2. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, how the hell are the Cowboys better than Detroit and they lost to Detroit? Fair point. But I mean, it's not that I don't like Detroit. It's the fact that, you know, the Detroit game was two halves of football. We were dominant in the first half. They were not dominant in the second half. They won the game by some bad decision making on the coach's part, and mostly on the coach's part. Mostly on the coach's part. If you watch all three of those interceptions, I will fault Romo for the first one because he just didn't see Bobby Carpenter and he didn't see him sprint back in the coverage. But Romo made the right read on all three interceptions. But the problem was the calls. Like, it's 27-3 at home, and you want to continuously pass the football.
Sorry to cut you off, but I know
Sure.
we've had this conversation like 1,000 times, but if you guys lose to the Rams,
Yep.
don't you have to worry maybe Jason Garrett's a fraud?
If we lose to the Rams?
Yes. The god-awful 0-5 Rams.
I'll stop you right here. I don't even think we need to lose to the Rams for it to be proved that Jason Garrett is a fraud.
I think that I called that he was a fraud from last year. I'm watching the last series of the Cowboys game, and I literally had to pause the TV and count how many people are on the line because I feel like Belichick called an all-out blitz up the middle, and they still ran the ball up the middle twice. And I just you can't throw a quick slant to Jason Witten. They had at least 8 people on the line, definitely blitzing up the middle.
It depends on your definition of fraudulent. He's a good football mind, but he may be better served to be an offensive coordinator. There's no question that he has very good offensive schemes and he has very good offensive game plans. because in every game this year, I would say with the exception of the Washington game, which, Austin was out, Des Bryant was hurt, and Romo just came off the rib injury. With the exception of that game, the offense for the majority of the game has been clicking. Where he falters is late game situations and knowing how to manage a lead. And it's reared its ugly head in all three of the Cowboys' losses. So, Cowboys' problems are correctable.
I would also add, they haven't really. Well, I have a couple of issues with the Cowboys besides Jason Garrett. One, it doesn't appear that they're throwing the long ball, throwing the ball down the field. I looked at the pure size differential between Des Bryant and I guess it was McCourty that was covering him, and it looked like a man playing against toddlers. You got to throw Des the ball. Des had single coverage a lot of the game, and Romo didn't look at him.
I think Romo's hurt more than we realize, to be fair. But you know what?
And then the other issue I have is why can't Des Bryant play 4 quarters?
Because he's hurt too.
He looked fine to me.
I think he's more hurt than they're letting on.
Des Bryant is like I'd call him like the Dwayne Wade of the NFL, where he just no, meaning he plays with reckless abandon. He plays with reckless abandon, and it makes him good. He's a beast, but he opens himself up to injury. He refuses to really go down and get tackled, and he ends up putting more agony maybe than he should.
As bad as Garrett, I felt coached in the fourth quarter. As bad as I felt Des or Tony Romo didn't throw Des the ball, and as bad as I thought Des just disappeared in the second half, I do not cite any of them as the true GOAT of this loss.
Oh, who would the GOAT be?
Single person.
Oh, boy.
Single person.
Oh, boy.
That I placed this loss on.
Oh.
Each one of those guys had a part to play.
He's going to say Miles Austin, but
the key guy that I put the loss on is Miles, Kim Kardashian's ex, Austin. Dropped 2 crucial passes that would have been.
He dropped one clear pass. He dropped one clear pass, and the second one, the defender hit. It was catchable, but the defender batted the ball. Like
if he catches one of those, both of those I believe were for a first down. Definitely the one that hit him in the chest.
But the thing is this though, he didn't drop a touchdown. He dropped the ball, and they still got a first down on the series. They had
Didn't
that the drive where they got the field goal?
No, I think it was a couple of series before. It was a couple of series before the end, but certainly it was a series where it was third down. He dropped the ball, and they had to punt to Brady. Now the Cowboys defense held, and they got the ball back. But if Miles Austin makes that catch, time goes off the clock. I think it's a little bit different. He just dropped it. You just can't do that.
I can't blame that on. I mean, at the end of the day, we still got the ball back. The defense held. We kicked the field goal. We took the lead, and we lost the game. And for the record, I'm actually not killing Garrett's play calling.
Really?
I am killing.
I get texts from you at like 11 o'clock at night about
you
F Garrett and Garrett's this and Garrett's that and yada yada yada.
Yes. Correct. I actually think he coached it the right way. My problem with Garrett is if he coached with that same mentality for every game in the season, we'd be 4-1. We would have won the Jet game if he coached with that mentality. We would have won the Lion game if he coached with that mentality, and we would have lost the New England game because Brady would have drove down the field and scored like he did, but we'd be 4-1, and the conversation would be like, well, Garrett coached it the right way, and, Brady is just great. It would be more about Brady than it is about Garrett because the Cowboys would be 4-1. My problem is he coached it completely different, and then after the game, his comments were, and I quote, "You have to run the ball in that situation because of the time situation." That was his quote. And it wasn't until then, and if you would have seen me when I heard the quote, I damn near threw my remote control through my television because I'm sitting there like, well, when you had first and goal to go from the 2-yard line, up 7 in the fourth quarter against the New York Jets, you want to throw the ball on second down, you want to throw the ball on third down. You weren't running in that situation because of the time situation then. When it was 27-3, in the third quarter, and you throw a pick 6, and it's 27-10 in the third quarter, you decide to throw it again and throw another pick 6 in the third quarter. You weren't running the ball in that situation then because of the time situation. And now, when you are playing against the New England Patriots, who on the other side of the ball have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in NFL history, and have a weaker defense than either of those two teams that I just mentioned, for you to now coach like this was absurd to me. Not to mention that your running back in this game, you were down to your I think they benched Tashard Choice because he fumbled earlier.
Yep.
And Felix was out with the high ankle sprain. So you got DeMarco Murray in there. So he's not a power running back. Belichick is clearly playing the run. Belichick is like, please throw the ball. And you just run into the teeth of the defense 3 times. So it's not the play calling. I would have been fine with that if he coached every game like that because we would be 4-1. That's my problem with Sunday's game.
That being said, I still believe the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East.
You're right, at 9-7.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Because they're going to get to 9-7. That's all you need.
If you look, first of all, they're one, as bad as this has been, they're one game out of first place. Nobody really believes in any of the other teams. I mean, you can make an argument for Philly could go on a run, but I think they're 2 games out, or maybe something like that, or 1 game out. The Dallas Cowboys schedule going forward is absurd. It rivals the 49ers cake schedule, who's a fraud. They play St. Louis this week, which I think this has to be a statement game. It's at home. It looks like St. Louis is going to start AJ Philly.
There's no statement in beating St. Louis.
You just have to kill these guys. You have Seattle. You have Arizona. You have I think a winnable game against New Orleans. They're not playing well. And then you compare that, and then of course you get the Redskins. They play Miami, but Arizona, St. Louis, Seattle, Miami, and Washington, that's 5 winnable games right there.
You do know that the other teams in the NFC East will play all those teams, right?
Well, here's my next point. The New York Giants have not played the Patriots. They play Green Bay. Dallas does not. If you look at the Giants' schedule moving forward, it's actually a pretty difficult schedule.
They actually have the hardest schedule in the league going forward.
Yeah, so
because the Giants already had Arizona, they already had
Seattle, they already had it,
and they've already had they played St. Louis. They already had St. Louis.
The Cowboys have a game against Buffalo as well. I mean, Buffalo's no pushover.
They got Buffalo, I think, at home.
If you look at these games, these are Dallas Cowboys can go 9-7 at least. I think.
I think 9-7.
They got at least 5 to 6 games that I'm calling a win right now.
Seattle. All right. St. Louis at Dallas.
St. Louis at Dallas.
Win.
You got Seattle.
Hold on. Dallas at Philly. Sunday night.
I think they can beat Philly.
Cousin D.
I think they'll split with Philly.
Cousin D.
I'll tell you right now. That's to me. That's the key to a lot of things because Philly beat Washington. They're going to go into a bye week, and if they come back and happen to win the Dallas game, they will be right back in the thick of things. And we'll see what happens from there. So Dallas needs to go down there.
I really like how good the Cowboy defense is playing. And that game is a toss-up. Let's just put that game to a side for now.
Wait. I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write this down. So obviously, you both give St. Louis the win.
That's more possible.
I mean, both give Dallas the win? And for Philly, if Dallas at Philly, what do we got?
I personally think they're going to split the games between Philly, but I think they can steal that game in Philly.
All right. So, it depends. Well, okay. So let's say, what about you, Cousin D? Dallas at Philly, Sunday night.
My honest answer is I don't know. Like
Be a man.
No, you can't because listen. I think we'll beat St. Louis, and you know what the funny thing is about it? I think it'll be they're not going to blow them out.
I'm giving them an L. For you, Seattle at Dallas.
Dallas. All right, for argument's sake, give Philly that win. I think that game is a toss-up.
I'm putting you gave them the win and Doran gives them the loss.
I know they have 2 games left against Philly, and I'm saying they're going to split those games.
All right. But we'll come back to that. All right. Buffalo at Dallas.
I think Dallas wins.
So wait, Dallas has St. Louis at home, at Philly.
Home for Seattle.
Seattle at home. And then Buffalo at home?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't believe in Buffalo. I'll give Dallas the win there.
All right. Dallas at Washington.
That's a win.
You know what? I'll say it's a win just because I think Washington is in shambles after what I saw on Sunday.
Miami at Dallas. I'll just write win.
Win. Yeah, the Giants haven't even played the Jets yet.
Dallas at Arizona.
It's a win.
Cousin D.
Come on, man. This is a
Come on
podcast.
Yeah, I'm monopolizing our time. We still have to berate you about your Ryan Terrain decision in a second.
We'll say it's a win.
All right. Hosting the New York Football Giants Sunday night.
Huge game. That's a win.
Yeah, I mean it's a win.
And I'm also using the momentum of the wins prior to that.
Thursday, then Saturday night, so short week, Saturday night, at Tampa Bay.
Tougher game than anyone probably thinks, but it's a win to me. I think Dallas gets on a roll here.
D.
I gotta cut y'all off for a second.
For the record, hold on. Before you say anything, for the record, Morris has them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight games.
Listen, here's what you need to realize, and this is why this conversation is useless in my opinion as a Dallas Cowboy fan because they're
appreciate your time.
No,
appreciate your time.
They're unpredictable. Listen. If
We're talking wins and losses, D. Wins and losses.
I understand that. My point to you is this: unless the Cowboys are playing New England, Green Bay, maybe New Orleans, you're probably or maybe a tough game like at San Diego or something like that. You're probably going to pick the Cowboys to win, but they're not going to win all of these games.
Agreed.
It's not going to happen. I don't know which ones they're going to lose. This is my point to you.
I do.
I don't know which ones they're going to lose, but they're going to do something stupid and lose a couple of these games.
They can lose at Arizona.
I think could very easily lose that game. They could lose home to Seattle.
They could. They could lose at. I think they could lose at home to Buffalo.
I just don't. I don't agree. I see them winning the division.
See, I'm mad you cut off.
I think these are. I mean, they should win the division with this schedule. Seattle, St. Louis, Arizona,
but
Redskins. These are all winnable games.
But remember, everyone has for the
if
most.
they don't win these games, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. That's it.
But here's the. All right, you know, Sonny, I'm kind of disappointed that Dorian cut off the wins because I'm pretty certain Mo would have gave them like 11 straight wins and put them.
I do think they split the Philly games, so maybe they win 8 out of the next 9.
Mo would have had them at 13-3. All right,
possible.
D, we're gonna let you go after this. Are you going to trade Ryan Train or Mike or whatever the hell his name is?
I'd like to hear that. Recently, there's been some Twitter chatter about a trade that you offered to a peer in our fantasy football league.
All right, hold on.
Describe.
I'm sure everyone would love to hear about trades Dorian is making with other people in fantasy league, but that guy's basically a fraud. We'll have him. We might have him on later. But Cousin D, you lost by a point.
Trade Terrain or Hightower?
You lost by a point. Terrain or Hightower. Who are you trading? Who are you getting rid of? What are you doing? Will you ever trust a Shanahan running back ever again?
I don't know. I mean, I think that at some point it'll emerge who is the starter, and it's not even. I don't even mind if they share the carries because I feel like my team at every other position is good enough where I can handle a timeshare there. Point is, I got nothing out of like the dude didn't play, so
knowing that you were watching the game and you lost by a heartbreaking 1 point, did you see the throw that lost you the game?
I did. Well, I actually analyzed this a little bit.
Oh, and hold on, just to fill everybody in.
Go for it.
The guy that Dorian was playing was down a sizable amount. And the guy had most people don't play in our league. Our league is very yardage heavy. It's 5 yards to points. Most leagues, quarterbacks are quarterbacking is 20 yards a point. So it's the equivalent of being down like
300 yards roughly.
It's equivalent of being down to standard scoring, maybe about 10, maybe being down 10, 15 points. And the guy who's
Antonio
playing,
Holmes had no business scoring on that play either.
And the guy who's playing against only had Mark Sanchez.
So I'll sum up my loss like this, and I'm not overly concerned about it, but I'll sum up my loss like this. Sunday morning when I woke up, my lineup had 2 players in it that I did not end up starting when the 1 p.m. game started. The first player was obviously Tim Hightower was on my bench, and I had Ryan Terrain starting. And they announced that Hightower was active and was number 1 on the depth chart, so I figured it was a safe play. And he didn't play at all, got me 0 points, and I lost by 1.4. The other person that was not in my lineup that I ended up starting was this guy named Dan Bailey, who's the Dallas Cowboys kicker. And I just decided Sunday morning, like, you know what, I want more Cowboys on my team. So I dropped Robbie Gould that morning and picked up Dan Bailey, who's been a solid kicker. And today it dawned on me, and I was like, wait a minute. You know, the Bears scored 39 points. Let me see what Robbie Gould did. And he was 3 of 3 from field goals. I think a couple of them were from 50 out. So Gold put up 14 to Dan Bailey's 10, a 4-point differential, and I lost by 1.4. So those 2 moves basically cost me the game.
Sort of in your defense, you assumed that the Patriots-Cowboys game would be higher scoring than it was.
All right, against.
I mean, he put up 10 points as a kicker. Like, that's That's fine for me.
All right.
But
Somehow we're discussing your fantasy team, and honestly, our audience doesn't care. Do you have
Useless.
Do you have a couple of minutes to hang out, D, or you gotta go?
I do. I'm showing.
All right. I'm gonna ask you guys a question then. I'll let
Here we
Mo.
go.
I'll let
This
Mo
is what we
answer.
want.
I'll let Mo answer first.
I'm glad D accepted the challenge.
By the way, you can follow D on Twitter at ddixon2281. He can use the followers, and Mo is at Midtown Mo.
D Dixon will tweet once a year.
That's right.
All right. Question.
S. Carter tweets more than him.
Question. Who won the Carson Palmer trade?
I can start. It's
Nathan?
actually ironic because we just talked about this last week where I questioned the sanity of football GMs for holding players hostage and not getting the best bang for their buck. Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals and namesake of the other Mike Brown that I equally hate, that
Who?
now coaches Dorian's LA Lakers.
Who?
Mike Brown.
Who?
I can't stand that guy. If
All
you're
right.
Mike Brown and you're not a comedian, you suck.
Shout out to Mike Brown, the remix.
Yes, but I think Vince Young would have been the better play for Oakland. I think it just would have been a lot better. I feel bad for Jason Campbell. Carson Palmer should get them a couple of wins. I don't think they're going to the playoffs. But the Bengals, who I am now calling the AFC Detroit Lions, stocking up draft picks. They have their quarterback of the future, Andy Dalton. They have their receiver of the future, A.J. Green. They got Grisham. They got, I think, Jerome Simpson's there.
Woohoo! Jerome
Their
Simpson.
defense is solid. Cedric Benson's only going to jail for one week. Things are falling together for the Bengals, except for one thing. They can't use their draft picks to hire a real coach. So, I think the Bengals come out ahead. Very interesting to see what they do with those draft picks next year. But you can't solve their head coach.
Good coaching job
That's
this year.
a big problem.
Okay, thanks for that.
This year.
Thanks for that.
That's a good point.
Thanks for that long-winded ass answer, Dorian.
Sorry.
Who won the trade? The Raiders
who
or
won
the
the trade?
Bengals?
Cincinnati Bengals easily. It's not even close. First of all, I've been saying this for a long time, and because of my love for the Cowboys, I constantly argue Tony Romo versus other quarterbacks in the league. And some people always have the tendency to bring up Carson Palmer's name, and I go ballistic because this guy has not been good since 2006. Ever since that injury in the playoffs, and it was unfortunate, he's not been the same quarterback. Add to that now that he probably can't throw the ball like he used to because he's coming off of that, the shoulder, whatever the hell's on his arm. Elbow. Like, I don't see the value add in Carson Palmer. Like, I do not see it whatsoever. He's not been good since 2006.
No one's mentioned Carson Palmer's name as a better than Romo in years. So put your one.
Yeah, I swear to God, somebody said it about 3 or 4 weeks ago in the barbershop.
It's the barbershop.
He's like, if Carson Palmer was active, he's better than Romo. And I'm like, are you serious?
I should have
people love Carson Palmer.
I should have opened with the winner of the trade is Carson Palmer, because he told the owner. I mean, who goes to their job and says, "I have $80 million in the bank. I'm retired until you trade me." Then they do trade him, and he now gets a restructured contract that's still worth another $43 million to go play basically in his backyard. It's winning.
Complete winning.
But I think Cincinnati did some nice things getting I can't believe they got that much for him. They do have a good young team. They have a good young defense. I think that A.J. Green is a stud. I think that Andy Dalton looks good right now, but he looks good right now, but he'll need to continue to progress because that doesn't always happen for quarterbacks in the NFL.
Red Rifle.
Those dudes have 6 and 10 written all over them.
And I'm not sold on. I've never been a Cedric Benson guy.
And I think if Oakland wins a playoff game, they get even a higher.
They get a first-round pick if they win the playoff game. If not, it's a second round.
I think they definitely draft a running back next year.
Oakland, you can write this down. Oakland will not make the playoffs this year.
Thank you very much. And even if they win the West by some act of God, that's the only way to get in the playoffs. They'll lose to the Steelers in the first round at home, and that'll be that.
You know what, Sean? They're not winning the West. Like San Diego always starts off slow, and they're still starting off slow. By the way, they're actually playing like they're the worst looking 4-1 team that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll get better as time goes on. Oakland will not make the playoffs.
All right. So,
are we gonna talk about my failed Detroit Green Bay prediction from last week?
What, that they will both be undefeated when they play?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think that.
Was going.
You're the only one that thought that.
Detroit's a fight.
I'm quite upset with Detroit.
You know what's funny? So we agree. Speaking of Green Bay, so I guess the consensus is Green Bay is the best team in the league.
Yes. I say in the league.
Who's the second best team in football right now?
I say the New England Patriots.
I agree.
I had said the New Orleans Saints, but I say the New England Patriots now.
But I think if you put a high-scoring offense against the Packers, which really is only...
It happened week 1, and it didn't work.
Almost.
You know what I say about almost?
You
Do you know who I think the best team is to beat the Green Bay Packers?
The New England Patriots?
The Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. They're the best team to beat them. They can put up the points and have a better defense than any other team that can put up the points. They're the best shot at beating them. I'm a Cowboy fan, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
I would like to say, if the Packers are on their own 10-yard line, they're going to run the stop and go to Jordy for 93 yards, 90-plus yards.
90.
They do it. I swear they do it every other week. I know the play call's coming. Stop and go. Cover Jordy. I'm not complaining, but that's the play call.
Why are the Lions a fraud?
They can't.
Don't make me call Cousin Zane to get him on the phone, to bitch.
They're solid. They can't stop the pass. Can't. The corners are not that good, and if you take away the big play, it can be beat.
I actually say the same thing. Like they're a big play offense. They Bears game aside, they can't run the ball.
You know Ronnie Brown's a Lion?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah. Bears game aside, they can't run the ball. They're a big play offense. When they don't get the big play, they are somewhat mediocre offensively. And on defense, they have a good front seven, but their secondary is suspect. I pretty much agree with Mo there. That they'll make the playoffs just because they started so hot. But I think they're fraud.
Who needs a secondary when you have a pass rush? The Giants proved that. Shit, I don't see any shutdown corners in Dallas, but you got DeMarcus Ware and Nasty J. Ratliff up front. Agreed.
Our corners are better than Detroit's, though.
Not by much.
Well, Detroit. That's what teams are attacking against Detroit. Is that back four. So.
Well, I think Detroit's thing is, it doesn't matter who our back four is if you don't have the chance to throw the ball, because then Dominican Sue's in your ass. Pause.
And I think if you get them down and you don't pick sixes,
I actually
Also
think,
gonna
you know what's funny? I actually think the key to beating the Lions is running the ball. But the problem is, since this is such a pass-heavy league, teams that just like want to run the ball down people's throats all day, they're not going to be around. For all the success that San Fran's having right now, like yeah, they can run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, but if they're playing a team like New Orleans, so guess what? You can run the ball. Guess what? We're going to score in 6 plays, and we're going to keep scoring touchdowns. And I dare you to go 3 and out, or I dare you to
San
punt.
San Fran has to have the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Actually, the
Has
team with the easiest schedule in the NFL, I was just looking
to.
at
Close.
this.
It has to be close. They play in the worst division in the NFL.
I was just looking at this. You guys talking about yourselves while I
They
figure
get
it out.
Seattle twice. They get Arizona twice. It's fraud.
They also get the NFC East though, and that should be no cakewalk.
You do get the NFC East.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they lost to Dallas, and we'll see. We'll see how they fare.
I think the rest of their schedule. I think they play Cleveland. They have. I mean, they should walk into the playoffs. They might even, looking at their schedule, might even get a first round bye. Their schedule is that easy, theoretically.
Well, for them to get a first round bye, so if you assume Green Bay is the one, and like I said, I think the NFC East winner is going to be 9-7. So between the winner, so basically you're saying that the 49ers are going to have a better record than the NFC South winner, who will probably most likely be the Saints.
The Niners what 4-1 now? 5-1?
Niners are 5-1.
I think when they're.
Oh, go ahead.
I think based on their schedule, they get to at least 10-6. They have a very easy schedule.
Wild card in the NFC is going to be very, very tough, just because you got Saints and Bucks both 4-2, and the Lions can play 500 ball the rest of the year and end up 10-6, and Green Bay's going to win that division. So I'm going to assume the Lions are going to get a wild card spot. And who gets the second one? It's going to be.
Is it coming from the East, or is it coming from the
Lions
East?
get the wild card spot.
I don't know who it's going to be.
If Matthew Stafford's healthy.
Is it coming from the East or from the South? The second wild card spot.
When I picked the 6 teams that would make the playoffs, I said it would be the East, and I said that wild card team would be the Giants.
But here's my thing. I don't think, like I said, I think 9-7 wins the division. I don't see a team in the East getting past 10-6. So let's say the Cowboys win the division at 10-6. The 9-7 Giants won't have a better record than the other team in the South.
I'd have to look at the Bucs schedule, but
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say that.
I don't think the Giants make the playoffs.
It's funny you say that. I have the Bucs schedule right here.
I don't think the Giants make the playoffs.
You don't? I can agree with that. Why the hell are me and Mo agreeing? We should be arguing.
Because I've reviewed these schedules. The Giants' schedule is crazy moving forward. Crazy.
Giants schedule let's see now, they're 4-2. Last 10 games, the New York Football Giants have. Wait a minute. Drum roll.
If you rattle it off, it's all playoff teams.
Home for Miami, at New England, at San Fran, home for Philly, at New Orleans, home for Green Bay, at Dallas, home for Washington, the Jets game. The Jets at the Jets, that's a home game. And home for Dallas. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay has.
Wait, did you hear that 4 or 5 game stretch at New England, at the Niners,
home for Philly,
home for Philly, at the Cowboys?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay has at Tampa Bay. No, they have home for Chicago, at New Orleans, home for Houston, at Green Bay, at Tennessee,
It's
Carolina.
not exactly easy.
It's not easy. At
That's not
Jacksonville.
easier. That's not easier. I wasn't aware of their schedule, but I mean some tough schedules.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
All right, let's wrap this up because it's been like a while. I promised Mo I would ask him one question about UFC. So I will give Mo 5 minutes to rant.
huge injury today, actually.
I will give 5 minutes for Mo to rant about the UFC. Go.
Thank you. I don't need 5 minutes. I'll just take 2.
Excellent.
Huge injury announced today. The welterweight, 170-pound, pound for pound, number 2 mixed martial arts fighter in the world, George Rush St. Pierre, got a knee injury in sparring practice today. So he was supposed to face a number 1 contender, Carlos Condit, next Saturday, October 29th, and that has gotten scrapped and pushed back to probably early 2012. But in fantastic news, you've probably seen the headlines between Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. And truthfully, first of all, let me just take a moment of silence for boxing. Because it's dead. Did you see the Bernard Hopkins fight? Boxing is so unbelievable, and yet people, mainly females, continue to watch this nonsense that they call a sport. It's nonsense. Bernard Hopkins gets in the ring, he gets shrugged to the floor, dislocated shoulder, and he loses. It's not the UFC. That's boxing. Terrible. Coming off the heels of this sucker punch Mayweather fight, it's just disgusting.
You have 30 seconds left.
So, in big news, one, the UFC will be featuring its heavyweight title on the line November 5th, Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos. That's a huge fight. It's a real fight, a real heavyweight fight. And last but not least, Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva. Chael Sonnen choked out Brian Stann a couple weeks ago and immediately called out Anderson Silva in what has to be one of the best post-fight interviews since Macho Man, Randy Savage, rest in peace. He basically said, Joe Rogan said, "Hey Chael, how did you think the fight went?" He ignored the question and basically just said, "Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck." And February 13th, or whatever Super Bowl weekend is, put your title on the line. You lose, you have to leave the division. Chael loses, he will leave the UFC forever. He has to be one of the best hype men that have come across the UFC in quite some time. It's pretty hilarious. Stay tuned. More to come.
Didn't it sound a little, and I'll give you current extension, when I heard it, and we'll post a clip on 718, didn't it sound a little like WWF-ish, like a loser leaves town match, like if he loses and then 3 months later he's gonna come back, Chelsea's gonna come back as a Black Scorpion, like, oh my God, it's true! Like
it absolutely did, but I think that's great I think you need a bad guy in this sport to continue its rise in mainstream. And I think if you could take the best of both worlds, we could take sort of the male soap opera-ness out of the WWE and apply it to real-life fighting. I mean, Chael Sonnen, if you're Anderson Silva, who gets a cut of the pay-per-view buys, you're sending Chael Sonnen a present because he's probably banking you another $1 million or $2 million because he's selling the fight. And Anderson Silva doesn't really sell fights via his mouth, at least. So, to answer your question, it does, but I think that's going to hook people in a little bit more.
All right, and there is your UFC report, courtesy of Midtown Mo. 2 questions, then we're going to wrap it up. Number 1. Actually, this is a question to Cousin D. It's a trivia question.
Sure.
Who's playing in the World Series?
Shit.
I did.
Yeah,
Mo, be quiet.
I literally ranted to Sean on the phone the other day about how much I hate baseball. It is the... Who won that Milwaukee?
It's
the St. Louis Cardinals. They beat Milwaukee, and I believe the Texas Rangers beat Detroit. So I'm gonna go with St. Louis and Texas.
Very good. I'm proud of you.
I nailed that. I nailed that answer last week.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, and the final question.
Question. I had a question about that. Actually, came up today. Why are only 4 teams in the? I can't stand baseball. 162 friggin' games.
Yo, I ran it just the other day.
And you play. First of all, I don't start paying attention until the 140th game. You play 162 games, and then only 4 teams make the playoffs, and a best of 7.
Actually,
so
8 teams make the
me,
playoffs.
or best of 5, actually. Best of 5, even worse. Best of 5. And then a best of 7. And my issue right now is, like, if you go interview, like, if I'm playing for the New York Yankees, and you come and interview me after we lost, a heartbreaking loss to whoever, I don't even know who the hell we lost to, nor do I care.
The Detroit Tigers.
Oh, the Detroit Tigers. You come over to me and say, hey, Mitzal Mo, man, you lost, what do you think? I'm going to be like, hell, I got to play another 162 games next year just to get back to this point. It's crazy.
All right, I'll say this as the lone baseball fan on this show. One, first of all, it's 8 teams make the playoffs, not 4. 2,
correct, I knew that.
2,
it used to be 4 though.
It used to be 4, and then when they expanded to 8. And I actually think that.
No, there's 4 teams in each. No, what I meant was 4 teams in each conference. That's what I meant.
You mean league? Oh. Yes, 4 teams in each league. You should have.
Yes, that's what I was referencing.
It's not what you said.
You said conference.
First of all,
see how much I know.
All right. Second, I think baseball. Between baseball and football, it's a toss-up to who gets it right. But I think baseball gets it pretty much right because. If I play 162 games, I want to see the 8th best team in the league in the playoffs. Like, if I'm the Yankees, if I just spent 162 games bashing everyone's brains in, now wait a minute. Now I got to come play you 8-seeded freaking Cleveland? No. It's the same, like, that's why I think basketball is too much. Like, wait a minute. Why am I playing 80? But I'm playing 82 games. I'm playing 82 games. And now I gotta beat you. Now I gotta beat you 40 and 42 freaking Philadelphia. Get out of here. Go scratch.
Give me at most 100-game baseball season. I can't take 162.
I think 100. I think 100 is too little. I think 144 would be ideal. But
I don't want to do anything in my life 162 times.
But
Sean,
162 baseball games.
To your point about the basketball playoff system, what I was telling you the other day is my issue with baseball is that the wild card team has no disadvantage whatsoever when the playoffs start. They waltz right in, and if you have an ace on the mound, you can very easily win that series or at least get game 1. And tilt things in a best of 5 series.
I agree. That's why I told you on the phone. My suggestion is I have either 2 suggestions. A, you make it best of 7, or B, if you're gonna keep it best of 5, the wild card team gets 1 game. Or even I've seen some places, certain suggestions. Yeah, they get 1 home game. Or certain suggestions like, no, you get 0 games. You play. Listen, you're the wild card team. Guess what? I get all 5 games at home. Make it an advantage. And the other, and actually a third suggestion I had that I have seen that I agree with is that you make 2 wild card teams. And then you make those 2 play each other, and the winner of that game plays the 1 seed. So then you end up burning your number 1 guy. And now it's like, all right, go have fun. But
basically 1 game playoff for the 2 wild cards.
Exactly.
I'm actually glad that you mentioned the NBA season.
Oh God!
Because I made a statement last week that I think Cousin D would be surprised at my statement. And the question was, who benefits most from the NBA lockout?
Well, it's not Kobe.
You mean like between the players and the owners, or between like anybody?
I can't really give you more than that. It was just like who
I
said that there is a specific person that benefits the most from the NBA lockout.
I would say a specific person. I would think part of me wants to say Kobe because 50 games are easier on his knees than 82. I think me and D discussed that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Last week, I went on this 10-minute rant that I said the shorter the season, the more likely Kobe will get his 6th NBA ring.
Oh, you know what? I actually misinterpreted the question. I thought you meant if the season was to completely get locked out, who does it benefit? And that's why I said it's not Kobe, because
a shortened season, you give Kobe 40, 50 games, he can single-handedly win this thing with a team of misfits.
Yeah, but listen, you give him 50 games, he's going to sign a 20-something day contract in Italy. Like, he's not resting.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, it's not NBA competition. He's not playing hard defense over there. No one's fouling him over there. I'm sure I'm sure there'll be a no-foul Kobe rule in his contract.
I don't think you can do that.
Well, listen, here's what I'm going to say.
They're creating something called the Kobe, what is it called? The Kobe chip? Whatever they're calling this tournament that he's looking into.
Listen, my thing, what you just said is, you know he's not playing tough defense. To me, that's false. If you know Kobe, he wants to assassinate every Italian.
No.
He wants
Someone's
to do
not
LeBron
playing tough defense against him.
Oh, they're not playing tough D against him. I mean,
but see now,
he's still playing ball.
No, see, but if I'm Martello Gallinari and I gotta guard Kobe, I'm trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to get a strip.
Yeah.
So you could do like they did LeBron,
both ways.
where they stripped LeBron and dunked on him. You mean like that?
Exactly. Like, listen, you
smoke,
get to play.
Smoke comes out of the basketball court.
So
Cats might be trying to go at Kobe out there. You never know.
By the way, I'm watching the Bengals Colts game replayed in 30 minutes. This game is unwatchable. Unfucking watchable. Continue.
Sean, you had a last question before we get into our poker question.
The last question, I forgot what the last question was. No, the last question was I think the last question was the World Series question. Yeah, that's the last question.
Yeah, he asked me the World Series trivia question, which I nailed.
Need help.
But I didn't need help. I just needed who helped me. I just had to figure it out.
The Texas Rangers will win the World Series, and Albert Pujols will sign for $1 billion with whoever he wants.
If I were not from the Bronx, I would not watch one baseball game a season anymore.
It's terrible.
I can honestly say that.
You are un-American.
Listen, man.
All right. Well, D, thanks very much for being on the show. I mean, you can stay on and listen to us talk about poker for like 3 minutes, but
I was talk about poker.
All right, Mo. Mo's decided that we should do a poker tip or scenario. Full disclosure, myself and Mo are completely generous who play poker every Wednesday. If you want to know what we play, hit me on the side for details. So I will present you a scenario, Morris, and you tell me what you do.
Got it.
You are second to act at a table. Yeah, by the way, if you don't like poker, just turn it. You can just turn this off right now. You are second to act at a table.
Yep.
It's a 1-2 no limit table. The guy who's under the gun that's first to act raises to $20. You have pocket kings.
Got it.
You raise $40.
Well, first, what would I do?
Hold on, wait a minute. You raise to $40. Everyone folds except for the one guy who made the original bet. That one guy goes all in, and he has you covered, and he has about $200, and you have a total of 100. So he's all in for 200, has you covered for $100. What do you do?
It's a very good situation. First, I'm not certain I would have re-raised in that position for a number of reasons.
It's my question, damn it.
I would have thought long and hard about whether or not. I don't think I would have I don't know if I would have re-raised there. I might have just called.
All right.
But to answer your question,
Actually, tell what I'll sprinkle it in for you, make it a little easier.
Well, I'm gonna call. Well, no, actually, how many people are in?
It's just
because I find that pocket aces come a lot more in a smaller table.
There's 7 people at the table.
7 people. I'm gonna call.
All right. Now I'll say this. Let's say you've been playing for about maybe like 40 minutes or so. Maybe you've been at the table like an hour, and this guy has been somewhat aggressive throughout the day, raising pre-flop. He's never raised more than $10, $12. And the hands have played out, and you've seen a couple of times he's had pocket sevens. One time he had Jack 10. One time he had 8-9. One time he had like Queen 8.
I'll probably put him on like Ace King. In this situation, I definitely put him on an ace. I don't, pocket. You can't. It's hard to say if he had pocket aces. I think he probably would have been a little bit more aggressive. But I think he probably has Ace King in this situation.
Okay. This actually happened to me once. This exact same scenario, and I was the guy that re-rated with pocket kings, and the guy went all in, and I called. What do you think the guy had?
I think he kind of phrased it to make it seem that he doesn't have Ace King. I mean, I'll put him on Ace King. I put him on Ace King.
He had pocket aces.
Yeah, pocket aces. All right, well.
And I lost.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean,
now
you have pocket kings. You're not gonna fold pocket kings.
Here's the
really beat you.
And the breaker is the guy that did that to me. You'll see him tomorrow. You'll see him Wednesday at poker night. And with that is our show. I'd like to thank Midtown Mo. You can follow him at Midtown Mo, and you can follow Cousin D at DDixon2281, because those are his 4 lucky numbers, because he played on the lottery once and won $15,000. I am at William H. Draft.
Where was I when that happened?
Long story, we'll tell you later. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll talk to you. Listen, oh, by the way, ladies, if there's any girls still listening to this podcast, we will do non-sports related podcasts. Holler at me. I've been trying to track down the Swindler, Contastic, whatever the hell her name is, and Morgan Stats for a podcast about Groupons. We're going to make that happen. Trust me. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.